Welcome to this community dialogue. I'm Melinda Arndt. I'm here with Michelle Seehafer today, and we're going to have, I think, an interesting conversation with you all about writing and its value even to our creating better health or healing our way through things with some writing. I wanted to talk with Michelle about these things because she is a recent graduate of MIU. She graduated with a double major in Ayurveda, which is health, and in writing. And she had nearly completed, or maybe fully completed, the Ayurveda degree when she decided that writing was so engaging and so important that she went on to do a second major in writing, even though it meant spending more time in school and more money on tuition. And yet the value, I think, is very clear. I'm just had some interesting conversations with Michelle about this, and it is a resource that some of us, unless you are naturally prone and driven to write, some of us don't think about writing as a kind of exercise or tool, just like doing your stretching exercises or doing your workout at the gym or taking your walk on the trail or your daily bike ride, as some people do. So Michelle, my first question for you is, when you were, I will fill in one more thing. Michelle has a background as a massage therapist before she decided to come back to school and before she decided to study Ayurveda as a health modality and a health tool. But then as you were going along in that degree, what was it about writing that compelled you to go further?
Well, my favorite part about writing, actually, because there's many different types of writing that you can get into, and I was most drawn towards what's called memoir writing, where you take, like part of your own history, a memory of your own, and you dig into it, and you write about it in, very descriptive language. And you use your senses to, convey like the picture and to connect with the reader on what it is that you experienced in your past. Mm-hmm. And for me, taking that class, actually it's really interesting because like I didn't even take memoir, but like before I ended up making that twist, of adding on like another year of college. But I knew that class was coming up in that was being offered at my college at MIU. And it was called The Art of Memoir. And I felt just like so drawn to it. And I was being like, I was encouraged not to like, take any of those classes. But I just felt like I really had to. And prior to that, I took a few other classes at MIU, a couple of writing ones that were connected with psychology, as far as like exploring the psyche and writing about what's inside ourselves, through that sort of depiction of writing. And I was really fascinated with those classes, and I felt like memoir was just kind of another branch of that. But interestingly, it wasn't taught by like the same professor that taught this one. And the professor that taught the art of memoir, like she was really, really good, like a really good professor, like one of my favorite professors at MIU. Her name is Melanie McEwen, and she's just so good at gauging her classroom and, helping to connect individually with each student if they feel like they need that, And I felt like I just had some stuff inside of me that I wanted to resolve and dissolve through writing. And so I ended up doing that in this memoir class. And actually I ended up taking, like the art of memoir was just the beginning of the memoir class. I ended up taking another memoir class this last spring called Resistance as Memoir. And that was probably a very, I felt like I really developed within myself as a writer, and I also grew within myself as a person.
It definitely sounds a bit pithier, resistance as memoir. But just to back up a quick sec, when you said you were advised to not take writing, you mean just in order to complete and graduate?
Yeah.
They didn't.
Yeah.
Someone was thinking you might not want to spend this time away from your major. Mm-hmm. But then.
Exactly. Yeah, because I was at a point with the class that I was in where it was like my last class, and had I finished that one, I was required to graduate.
Oh.
And they felt like if I continued to go with it, that I wouldn't, I'd be just tacking on more time and, adding more, debt, to what I already owe. And it just happened to work out perfectly where I had just the, perfect amount of credits, for me to be able to use up yet in order for me to graduate with a second degree. Yeah,
so that I could just tell when I attended a graduation celebration for Michelle with, I think, many or maybe all of your English teachers, your writing teachers were there speaking so highly of Michelle, and she had worked at the writing center helping other students write and edit their whatever kind of writing they were doing, their papers of all kinds, and hearing the teachers saying that you were so good at that, at helping people tune into, fine-tune, and bottom line, which is what editing is, right?
Yeah.
And then that's when we had that conversation where you were saying you would really love to combine your interest in and knowledge about health and how we really are so much more creating our health than we really know, and how then we're usually aware. We usually just go along and we're just not aware that every thought we think, every action is not just how much air you breathe or the quality, that comes into it, the food you eat and the quality, all of that comes into it, but your very thinking and orientation, and that you would love to help people write their way to and through health. So I actually thought that you were, I don't know about hanging out a shingle, but that you were getting the word out that you were available to do that. And it turns out she hasn't done that yet, but maybe you will.
Yeah, I'm definitely feeling really inspired by even just having this conversation and creating this this video, for the community, as well as everybody outside of the community who's curious about Fairfield.
And writing, I mean, one can set out on one's own to just write and journal. Daily journaling is a great tool. And yet what you could or provide, or maybe just going to any writing group, would be some specific direction, or even if you're doing daily journaling, it could be easy to skirt around and avoid maybe something that would be really good to write about that might be impinging on one's health.
Yeah.
So having a coach, I mean, it would be like a coaching thing that you maybe would do.
Yeah, I would imagine so. Using one's intuition to gauge after getting to know the individual, and just asking the right question, because I believe, that we're sometimes guided, to express, things that are going to be really supportive for ourselves as well as other people, because I believe, that we're, that when it comes to everything that really influences our health, you mentioned, the thinking and everything that goes into it, but, I really believe that when it comes to healing, how we express ourselves, and the things that we choose to put out there, or the things that we choose to keep inside of us as well, can be really impactful, because so many individuals out there end up choosing, sometimes not to say something because they're worried that somebody's going to get hurt, or that they end up saying the wrong thing and looking stupid, or, you know, being judged or whatever.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
and oftentimes it's not a matter of like what you say, but like how you say it too. You know, because sometimes even criticism can even be like, you know, turned, you know, like more inward, you know, to create a softer note, you know, like adding more of that descriptive language to like what it is that you're saying and bringing the heart into the expression, so that what you want to convey to a person, you know, to give an honest expression to what's going on in their life, or even what's going on in your own life, you know, because I've learned that when we can be honest, you know, with the world about what's going on with ourselves, we can open ourselves up a bit more so that other people can be there for us. And we're living in a society right now where like so many people are so afraid to open up, you know?
Right. And even our self-talk to ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Keeping that shut down, or having someone help us open that up. Because that inner critic, we've all got that inner critic. We're all worried about being judged. And I just found it intriguing I thought, you will, at some point when that works out, I mean, I know you're doing other things right now, but you will soar at this. And it inspired me to want to have you talk here. Now, I did think on the way coming over here, there are a couple of writing groups at the library. Is that Shut Up and Write thing still happening at the library?
It is still happening. It's
Would
happening.
you recommend that?
I totally recommend that for anybody who wants to sit down and write. And, you know, even, you know, like they want to write something, but they don't know what to write. It's not exactly like a space, you know, that's guided or anything like that, but it's like supported by like the coherence of other writers, you know, that's more encouraging. I know I was going there pretty regularly, and
sorry, what day is that of the week is that?
Oh, it's every Tuesday from 3:30 until 5 o'clock.
At the public library?
At the public library.
Great.
Yep.
And you were going there, and do people handwrite or they type, or it doesn't matter?
It doesn't matter. As
Okay.
long as, like, you could even, you know, go there and, you know, like, you could even go there with a book, you know, if you have a hard time focusing on something you want to read, you know, as long as it's something that involves, like, you know, the written word, you know, because there's been a few people, you know, that, you know, want to, you know, spend time with their, you know, significant other, or just be a little social, because it's not like an extremely like social event, but like if you arrive like 15 minutes, actually it starts at 3:30. So then, but the actual writing doesn't start until 3:45. So if you get there at 3:30, you can converse a little bit with the people that are there, and then you'll start writing at 3:45. And Melanie McEwen, who was the professor I mentioned earlier, she's the one that leads that group at the library. And she will time, you know, the writing for an hour, and then we stop at 4:45, and then we all end like the last 15 minutes just briefly sharing what it is that we wrote about if we want to. You know, so it's not like you have to say anything, you know, and share what it is that you spent your hour doing, but it is, you know, it is something that you can do if you want to connect with other people.
I was just thinking for someone like me who I always want to, I feel like there's stuff that I do want to write, just nothing earth-shaking, but just I want to do some writing, and I have a hard time making time for myself, making that a priority for myself. But if I went there, it's like time blocked out where, okay, I've got permission. I can just
Yeah.
It sounds kind of pathetic.
Oh,
but
definitely. And the group coherence of it, you know, really supports that like desire, you know, if it's something that you feel challenged to do on your own at home or wherever else.
Neat. Well, I'm glad to know that's still available and still going on. It shows I love our library, and I just hadn't tuned in to find out if that was still happening. So thanks for that one. I think there's a Sunday writing group as well, because I have a friend that it's like every other Sunday,
okay.
maybe 2 Sundays
I know that there's another professor of mine, actually, the one that did like the psychology writing classes. His name is Craig Deininger, and he does a class on Sundays. It might be one Sunday a month, or like a specific. I wish I knew the exact details on that one, but he also does another writing workshop kind of deal.
Yeah,
at the library.
One could certainly go to the Fairfield Public Library and ask about the writing workshops. I think the one that's every other Sunday or 2 particular Sundays a month might be Dave Patterson.
Then there's like a couple of people doing things there, because Craig is doing something specifically with poetry, I want to say.
Ah.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be right up the director, Alec McCunis's. And anyway, so ask at the Fairfield Public Library if any of this is of interest there. Some of us, some people are just driven to write, but I think we're talking here about some of us who want to write or even haven't thought much about it, but might be piqued to like, okay, what can I learn from writing at whatever stage in life we're in?
Well, and again, back to healing,
yes.
Like getting together with people in your community, that are, kind of in that space of, like where writing is just something that they do that's good for their soul. That's another way of, being able to, just heal oneself from whatever it is, because, our society has really turned inward, where people have a hard time connecting with each other in the community nowadays.
Yeah, that, I don't know if we, don't have to blame it on COVID, but that's just, it happens to be a place where you're right.
Oh, it was happening before COVID,
It was happening before that, but yeah, well.
COVID certainly highlighted it.
Yeah, so if you want to rub shoulders with some writers and see if that will rub off, we can, that's probably why I invited you to come and do this dialogue, because of my own desire to do a little more. But check out the groups that are available at the public library if that is appealing to you, to hang around other people in a silent writing space, but you're doing it with other people. I don't know if we'll have, you can always contact Werner if you want to be able to talk with either Michelle or I. But you're the writer, I'm the wannabe, and learn a little more about writing, and especially as it might relate to your health. Mm-hmm. I really appreciate you coming on and chatting with me. Is there anything else more you want to share about writing and or healing? Or balance, bringing balance, that's healing, right?
Well, I guess I feel like when it comes to writing, like, it's a very intentional process, but it doesn't have to be. It is really cool when you write something, and especially when you focus on something specific and you just allow yourself to get lost, with your pen or pencil to the paper, connecting your brain, and going through your arm into your hand. You'll be surprised with what you end up like putting out there, because sometimes allowing the writing utensil to work its magic can like clean out some cobwebs, of things that you've, experienced in your life that you might not have seen clearly, because when you're digging into your mind to bring something creative to the paper, it can surface, things that that would be really, really healing, that you didn't see before. And that was, certainly an experience of mine when I wrote this specific memoir in the Memoir as Resistance class. Because it was called Memoir as Resistance because it's a class that actually focuses on writing about like social justice topics, things that you've been really triggered by in life, and getting that out of yourself and putting it, like into a creative expression so that it's not in you just like stewing and festering, and developing something that, could affect you and your health, down the road. And if you were to get, involved in any writing classes. Like, it's just an amazing alchemizing process that can really strengthen your heart and your soul, and really align and just, you know, connect you on the inside as well as like to other people, because a lot of us, you know, have gone through a lot of similar things in life, you know, and for us to be able to relate on things from our past or things that we've even recently gone through, it can really help us, you know, connect as a community.
Yeah, I hear it. I hear it. I wish I had even more specific questions, but you have brought out such a richness about the value of writing, and so given us some food for thought to consider. And I like that about I happen to be left-handed, so I'm showing my left hand. The energy flowing, or the thought process, the flowing out, actually writing by hand. Doesn't matter if you're handwriting, you know, as long as you can read it, I suppose.
Yeah,
yourself.
actually, it's really interesting that you mentioned that too, because in my writing classes, you know, there's been multiple times where the discussion of like the difference between handwriting something as well as like typing up something, and how, you know, like writing creates a much more coherent expression and like connection, you know, to ourselves and to what it is that we're writing, and like the pecking on the keyboards, you know, and, you know, like writing it out, you know, so quickly, like when it comes to using a keyboard, it has a much different, you know, effect on an individual compared to being able to just kind of, I mean, if you write cursive, I write cursive, but even, you know, penmanship, you know, like it has a much more profound effect. And, you know, it's actually encouraged more in writing classes to write longhand than it is to, you know, type it out on a keyboard.
And even though people can type so much more quickly,
yeah,
most people can. I can't, but I mean, well, a little bit more. But yeah, so that value of the mind-body integration and bringing it out.
And the keyboard, like using the keyboard, is actually more encouraged with the revision process.
Sure.
And the revision process is actually like my favorite part of writing, because for me, when I end up writing like a memoir, it takes quite a while for me to actually dig into my memory and pull out, you know, like a story. But once I have it out, like I'm able to have so much more fun with the revision process.
That's why you were such a good editor.
Yeah. Thank you.
I bet. I cut you off.
Oh, it's okay. I think I was done.
The revision. Well, so hope you've enjoyed hearing about writing. I have. I think that's why I invited you on. I wanted to have this juicy conversation about writing and healing and how writing can affect our overall health. If we want to use that as a tool, have that in our health toolkit. Not maybe what you'd expect, you know, well, yeah, I have my fresh lemon juice, I got my whatever, you know, fresh water. People might consider more of those kinds of things in their health toolkit, but writing might be a surprising friend. Yeah.
It was a very surprising friend for me. Yeah. I'm very blessed. Thank you for inviting me to do this talk with you. It's been a lot of fun, and I feel like it's really propelling me towards the future of writing and healing.
Yeah, we'll get you going on a podcast or something. I don't know.
Right.
Anyway, thank you so much, Michelle, for coming on Community Dialogues, and we'll see you next time.